So, welcome to the last class, Sam, on tomorrow, 1 hour. As today we will continue our review of the last year paper, and I will do Q&A. If there are no Q&A, then we will probably review stuff. Okay, but I'm sure we can do our Q&A. And CTE will be conducted at the very end, like around 3. Okay. So let's see. So let's get started. Let's check it out. Okay. So looks very dark. See? Oh, good. So I think we have done for question 1, right? And we did ABC, right? So what we will do is, I guess we can do question 2. Okay, question 2. Question 2 here would be a question saying that I have a sample of 50 customer, 20 male and 30 female. Then males spend 100 and females spend 120. And I have the sample SD 10 and 15, and they follow normal. And here, but the question, without knowing the population standard deviation, you know you are going to use t-test, right? That is the first thing we know. And the thing is, ask you to construct 90% confidence interval. Okay, so let's do this slowly because we don't have to hurry anyway. Right? So let's review what we know quickly, and then we do the question, right? So this is the thing. What we have is like this, right? There's a bunch of male, right? And I don't know this mu of male, right? And this follows sigma mu of male, right? And over how many male you have, right? Right. This is x bar of male, right? And of course, if we know the sigma square male, right, the confidence interval will be very simple, right? Because basically, confidence interval simply means the way we construct, right, is whatever we have, right, and go left and right, right? By how much? We call it ME, right? Margin error, right? The margin error will simply be Z, right? If we know, right, set alpha over 2, sigma, right? Sorry, sigma over n, right? So that would be the one that if we are able to know the sigma, right? That's what we do, right? So that what we do, then just directly the confidence interval will be what you get plus minus ME will be the thing we do, right? Right. Suppose we know this is what we do, right? And in the case, let us review actually if we know how we do it, right? So let's tell you how to find this Z alpha always, because people keep asking me this question all the time. Is suppose how you find this guy from your how you find this guy from your T table, from a Z table, right? You can't do it. You can do it for the Z table, right? So you remember what we do is, suppose we know, right, 90% is here, right? So that means that this is 0.05 and this 0.05, right? And that means that if you or this is 0.95, right? So basically, you go to a Z table, look at where 0.95, pick up the number there. All right, so let me actually go to the table and then pick that out, and then we'll do the T. Okay? Let's do quickly and then show you how we do that. Look at the table we have here. If then we just go to here, right? 95 is actually between these two guys, 1.64 and 1.65, right? Remember, this is, you can do this, suppose we know the sigma, right? But we don't know sigma, okay? So what we do is to do a very similar version, but replace with T, right? So basically what we do, let me open another page, right? So what we do is now, instead of, let's copy this, right? Suppose we know that, right? We can do this, right? The compact knows that. But now we don't know that. What we do is this. Right? This is the two different things, right? This is the method we are doing, right? This is how you construct confidence interval, right? Whether you know sigma, the first line, if you don't know, you use S, the second. Okay? Is there any question? If everyone's okay, then I solve it, right? Because now, S, so in the question for the male, let's look at the question again because I really can't remember the question, so sorry about that. So male is 100 and N male is N is 20, okay? So S is 10, okay? So what we have is X bar is 100, right? S is N is 20 and S is 10, right? Let me double check. I get the right answer first. So N is 20, S is 10, and X bar is 100. So this is what we have, okay? And we need to figure this out, right? Which is T 99, right? And right, we want this is 90%, so it's 0.01, right? 0.1, right? Because right, as we have done the same, right? This is 90, this is 0.5, right? Let me write them better. Okay. So possibly, okay, you can do this in Excel, right? If you do Excel, this is how you figure that out. It's very simple, right? If Excel, this will be just T this the inverse 0.95, 99, right? That would be the number that we need, and you just plug in everything there. Yes. Sorry. N is 20, so it's 19, sorry. 19, right? So that would be the answer. So so that would be the way that you calculate, right? It's N minus 1, right? So then the only thing is you need to figure out what this from the T table, right? That's supposed to do. And then look at the T table here. Okay. T table is here. We have a small n here. Okay. T19, right? And 1 minus alpha, right? We have actually 90%, right? So just pick up the 0.1, the fifth column. So 1.7291, right? And that's it. That's how you do it. Okay. So that's why remember to bring your calculator. Okay. Otherwise, you have to do it multiplied by yourself. You cannot take the square root of so it's 1 point, right? It will be this one, right? Okay. Is that clear? So I'm not going to do the calculator, but I think since you're a college student, right? I think you can do this by yourself, okay? You can put this number there. You can put 1.7 here. You can put a 10 here. You can put scale root 10 here, right? Plus minus. You can do that. That's no problem. Shouldn't be a problem for you. Yes. Oh, okay. Inverse is looking at, you give me the area, I give you the thing down, the inverse, right? Because this distribution function is what? You give me the number, I give the probability, right? So you just go from here to here, the distribution function, right? You inverse is reverse the process. I give the area, I need the number, right? And that is, this part is also a critical value. That's how we do it. The same thing. Okay. Is that okay? Any question? Because it's good to ask, because we're not in a hurry anyway. Okay. If no, then go to the second question. Okay. Question number 2B. Okay. Very similar. Okay. Just you change from female to male, because we can see I'm very generous. Huh? So you know this, basically you know that one. So there's nothing new there, but let's actually write down the thing, right? So what is given here is the X bar is 120, right? Here N is 30 and sigma is I think 12, is it right? Let me see. 15. Sorry. Okay. Right. So remind yourself that I'm doing 2B here. So how do we do that, right? You just write down the thing, right? Because no, sorry, not the sigma. I'm sorry, that it's S, right? So since S, then to construct 90%, 95, right? 95% CI, right? In this case will be X bar plus minus T. N is 30, right? So that's 29, right? And what we need is 95%, right? Remember how to do 95%, right? 95 is the middle, right? And you have, this is 0.025, this is 0.025, right? So it's 0.025, right? And this is S over root N. So this is the number, right? Just put all number in, then we are basically done, right? And this 120, this is 15, this is 30, right? The only thing is this guy, okay? So the only thing I'm asking from this question again is see if you can check the table, right? And 29, let's see, do we have the table there? Of course, the first thing is if you look at the Excel, right? That's right. The inverse, right? For 975, 29, right? That will be the thing. But let us go to the P table, right? And check that out. T table here is 29. Luckily, we have 29. Okay, nice here. Okay. And we want 95%. Okay. So 1 minus alpha, the alpha is 5%. So you are looking at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the sixth column. Okay. This number. Right. It's 0.0452. Okay. Let's put the number there. Calculate. You're done. Right. It's easy. Right. It's not something that super difficult. But is there any question? that okay? Okay. Okay, since now with no problem, then we go to the next question then. The next question is, okay, assume they're equal variance. Is there evidence that the population mean of the male is less than the female at 5%? So it's a two sample one, okay? Because this one I need you to calculate the answer. The last year, because last year I required them to do two sample by hand, right? But if you but let me show you how to do it, and I'll tell you how to Excel. Okay, that would be good. Okay, so the question is, let me go back to the question again first, asking if male is less than female, right, at 5%. So the thing you do is probably like this, right? You have H now, right? Mu of the male is less than, right? Mu of female, right? Male is less than. So this is the question. It's one tail test, right? Of course, you can say one is, if you don't like male and female, you can use this notation, just same as the book. So if you don't like that, let's do this. It's maybe easy. 1 and 2, 1 and 2, right? 1 is male, 2 is female. Right? So that is something that you can do, right? And if you remember the formula, we check this, right? You will do a t-test, right? Where what you do is x bar 1 minus x bar 2, right? If you pick up that, right, would be SP squared over N1, right? SP squared over N2, right? And SP squared will be a slightly more complicated object, right? S1 will be something a little bit more crazy. That would be something like this, right? Okay. And the critical value you will check, this is actually Tn1 plus N2 minus 2, right? So that's how actually do that, right? You have female and male, you have all the number there, you have all the number there, right? You can do the calculation by hand, right? That shouldn't be something very difficult for you, right? But as we said, we are not asking you to do this, right? Possibly, right? We are not expecting you to do that, right? So probably you may ask, what should be the Excel input there, right? The Excel input would be like this, right? You would be doing, let's go to the slide, right? Right. The Excel input. So remember, we are doing is a left tail test, right? So what you will do, we are doing an equal variance. So this line, okay. So what you do, very simple. Just T dot test. Input data for male and female, 1, 2. Okay. So how you write that in your result? If I ever ask, the Excel input, right, will be X1 will be the data for the male, right? And X2 will be da for female, right? So it will be T dot test 1 minus, right? 1, 2, right? All right, let me check. Let's make sure that I don't make a mistake here. Yeah, that's right. That's right then. That would be the p-value, right? And I compare, the rule is I compare this to 5%, right? If this is less than 5%, then I reject. More than 5%, I don't. Right? So that's how you do, right? If I ever ask this type of question, that you can just use Excel, right? So you guys tell me which is data for male or female, then you're done. Is that clear? Is that clear how you would write the Excel output input, right? That's even easier, right? Because you can say Excel is even easier. I don't really need to calculate it. I don't even need to know the N1, N2, S1, S2, right? Excel automatically give you the answer, right? So things are it's very simple, right? Of course, if you want to be, right, write down more, then we say, you do what you write, right? This is the p-value, right? Then if p less than 0.05, then reject. Actually, right? That would be the description of your answer, right? That's how you write, right? Because you don't know the answer, right? But you know how to do, right? That's how you conclude, right? It's Excel input and how you, right? If I ask you to do 2 samples, you can just write it, right? You write that would be the description of the way you do, right? You write down your thing, right? Write down your hypothesis, right? You do, right? You write down your hypothesis, right? And then you just write, okay, this is the p-value, and then this is how I do, right? That is a complete description of what you do. Is that clear? What I'm expecting you to do for the 2 sample test, right? I'm not expecting you actually execute the thing, right? But you know which Excel function you're going to use, right? How use it, how we make a decision, right? Is that clear? What I'm expecting you to do if I ever ask to do that. Okay. Any question? Your question? No. No. So the next one will be, I guess it's not something too difficult as well. So this is same, but I'm asking you to they're not equal, right? Variance, okay? And I'm making, are they the same or not the same, right? Right, so that basically you need to write down, right, as usual, write down what's the null, what's alternative, right? The null will be like this, right? The alternative will be like this, right? And of course, you say 1 will be the male, right? 2 will be female, and then right? So this is the part that you should write that down, right? To let me know actually you know what are we doing, right? And the second part is let me write down the formula and then we'll go to Excel, right? This is what you should know what actually we're doing under this scenario, right? The T stat is what? It's just X bar minus X bar 2, right? That's very simple. It's S1 squared N1, right? S2 squared over N2, right? This will be something, this guy, and this guy is the crazy thing. I'm not going to write down that thing. I mean, that's why I don't want to ask you to do an exam, right? Because doing that crazy thing is, I mean, your mind explodes, But to remind you what is the crazy formula, let's go to these slides. Okay, I'm not going to write that down. Okay, the formula that if you try to remember, have a nightmare with this one. Okay, so I think I made generous this year. I don't ask you this time. Okay, so I allow you have just to do the Excel, then you're done. Okay, so the Excel directly give you the final answer, right? The Excel actually gives you the p-value directly, right? So we are very lucky, right? Because I allow you the Excel, right? So I don't know the other class, but my class are now Excel this year. So the formula we use is this guy. Go to here. Unequal variance. Okay. Remember two-tailed test. So this is 2. Okay. This guy. Okay. So so if you try to write that down, the answer something like this, right? I'm doing the T dot test. Right? X1, X2, 2, 3. Okay. And this is the p-value. But again, this is already a two-sided p-value, so you just compare to 5%, right? That is 5%. Let me check the question. Yeah, just 5%, right? Just compare this. If this is less than 5%, I reject, right? That's what I'm asking to do, right? I don't need you to do it, but at least to tell me how to do it, right? That's what I was expecting you to know. Okay? Is that clear? Okay. Is that a question? Question? Okay. That is the p-value, of course. Now, last one. Last one is comparing variance. Okay. And the question is the female is larger than the male? Okay. That means that is a one-tailed test, right? It's not equal to, so let's do that. Okay. So the question is, right? Larger than, right? Question. Let me check that again. Make sure I don't make a mistake. A female is larger than male. Okay. So I use since I use I use 1 is the male, right? 2 is female, then I do that. Of course, if you use 1 is female, 2 is male, then you have to reverse the order. But the same thing, okay? There's no difference how you do that. Is that clear what you're doing, right? And compare variance is the F, right? That's rather simple. F is what? S1 squared over S2 squared. Okay? And male is 10, female is 15, right? Let me check out the question. Yes. So that means 10 over 15, 2/3. Okay. And what is going to check, right? You are checking F and N1 minus 1, N2 minus 1, right? That's the one you check, right? And just remember what's N1 and N2. N1 is male, right? N1 is male is 20. N2 is 30 here, right? Check that is correct. Yes. Right. Let me write down a little bit slightly better handwriting. Sorry. You have to forgive my handwriting because I never write anything besides teach. Only I write when I teach, right? Every time I just type. So I never write anything in my daily life. And so this is the answer. You check, right, the critical value, right? How to check the critical value is you're checking the table of 19 and 29. Okay. So look at what table I got for us. Right. See if I have that. So if 5%, you look at this table. Okay. And the thing there is I don't have anything there. Okay. So I don't need to do this, right? Just check that fine. Okay. And that means that I have to rely on Excel, right? You can calculate critical value. Right? Suppose 5%, right? Like this. I can do both. I can do the critical value. I can do T value, right? But this one, the critical value is rather easy, right? So I F it like this, right? I want this is one-sided, 5% is here, right? So what is number, the critical value will be just F inverse 105, 90, 29, right? And this is the critical value, right? What you do is you would say if this is larger than this, right? Then you would not reject. If that, then you reject. That's the way you can do, right? And the question probably is whether you can use the F dot test in this one. The problem is the F test is the two tail, and I just do one tail, so we can't use this one directly. We have to rely on this. Is that clear? Oh, it's a two tail, so it's slightly a little bit trickier for this question. Okay, is that clear? What we are doing, right? Because we can't use the table, then what you do if you cannot, if on exam you cannot do, table doesn't exist. Very simple, right? Just tell this is my answer, and you will tell me what you to do, right? So that's what you do in exam when things you figure out that you don't have a table or the table is not there, you can still do that, right? If you figure out that table doesn't exist, truly, then you got the full credit. If the table I give you already can find, but you don't know how to do it, I deduct some mark from that, but otherwise shouldn't be an issue. Okay? Is that okay? Any question? Okay. Any question? Well, this is critical value. That would be the table, but the table don't have 1939. So suppose you'll be able to find that from the table, but we really can't do it.
You just find the critical value
Oh, if you want, we can do the F. You can do the p value. That will be F is 2/3 1939, and then true. Okay. But this one a little bit more tricky because you don't know where it is. Then you have to the p value will be more complicated. What? Oh, standard deviation? Oh, then I square there. And then I need to look at this value, right? More complicated. If it is luckily this is one side, right? So this is exactly p value. Okay. So either you use the critical value method or the p-value. Sorry, what's the question? You compare variance as f-test. F-test is basically compare variance. This is what the f-test is about. F-test is testing whether variance of two normal distributions have the same variance or not. F-test is two-tail. So the two-tail. So you cannot do two t-tests. So luckily this is a one-tail, so you can just basically do that. Okay, this is the p-value, right? If you ask the p-value, then just this is it, right? Is that okay? Any further question? Feel free to ask because but anyway, we'll do you reply after the break anyway. Any question? I guess I should then only 3 minutes left. Probably I just do the you reply first, and then after that we'll do the ANOVA question after that. Because I don't want to squeeze in. Any question? If no, then let us do a you reply, because you may probably have some question you got asked as well. Then we'll try to do that. Okay. Just to remind you when is our exam, because even though I put the announcement there, then probably you would some of you actually can't recall. The exam is tomorrow at 4:45 to 5:45. That's 1 hour. Okay, 1 hour exam. No, only 3 questions. Long question like we do. Open note, but no iPad, no cell phone, no computer. You can print any number of pages you want, okay, but you can't share because you have to separate from each other. And calculator, bring your own calculator, okay? You shouldn't be sharing your calculator with your friend. Okay? And the Z table, T table, and F table are not provided. Okay, you can bring the one that I do there. Okay, and bring your ID. We will look at your ID and ask you to sign on the attendance list. Okay? I need a signature and I need the ID then. Okay, and if you have good reason to be absent from tomorrow exam, you have to email the TA. You got pre-approval, then we will schedule makeup next week. Okay, but only you have legitimate reason get pre-approval, or you have medical emergency that you don't need a pre-approval. Okay, but that will be pretty much. Okay, so let me do the you reply. This last you reply you're doing, so have some fun. Okay, last class, our last you reply. For the makeup class, I'm not doing. I may do you reply as well, but not in this style. Okay, just do it, and you can tell me what the question you might have right now, then try to solve it, because we still have quite a few of time, quite some time to go over the area that you want me to further clarify. Okay, so that's a break of 15 minutes. We will resume at 2:30. I didn't talk this part. Didn't talk about it. Nothing more than say. It's only different whether it's the denominator. Right? You need to solve the same. You can do it. People, they Let's see the U reply first before we go to. Will every material? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think we'll put that on the blackboard. Can you please explain the Excel formula Z score and T score? There's, oh, okay. So the question is, what is the difference between these three things? So norm dot S dot this. What it's doing, right? What it's doing is the following. This is the standard normal, right? 0 is here. You give me this number, X, I give you this error, right? So this is the norm as this, right? So that's what it's doing. And the next question, the next part is what is norm this is doing, right? But this only difference is the norm this your input is like X, right? This is X and then true, right? And this X, you have the mu, sigma squared, right? And true. Okay. The only difference is this X is a bell, but this bell have mean mu, sigma squared. Again, what you're doing is you give me the X, I give you the area, right? So that is the left-hand side area. Is that clear? That is happy like this, right? This is what we call the distribution function. And the next one will be the norm as inverse X, right? So slightly different, right? It's asking, you give me the area, I give you this number, right? So if you, that means that if you try to find the p-value, right, you will use the norm dot S dot this, right? If you want the critical value, will be the inverse, right? Because critical values, you give me the area, then I give you the number, then the critical value decide whether you reject or not, right? And some people ask in the break whether you do the one minus or not, right? Depending on the area is left or right, right? Because the total area under the curve is 1, right? So if you know whether you're going to look at the right-hand side, left-hand side, then you're done, right? Because I hope I answered the question. If not, you can just simply Mo, the question is how can I explain this? Well, this is within the syllabus, right? Everything we discuss is in the syllabus. I cannot say what is right. And T inverse and T this is the same idea, right? T inverse and T this is the same, right? T, if I have the T is the 0 is here, right? T, right? The T, this is N here, right? T this X and true, right? What's doing is I got the X here, you give me an area, right? That is T this, right? If I have T inverse X, right, is you give me the X here, I give you this go back. So that is, oh, sorry, I forgot the N there. So that's difference. I hope that is become clear, right? You would need this. You will need this one to find the p-value, right? You will need this to do the critical value, right? Of course, for this P, you have to, the critical value is already, already the table there, right? You should be able to do that by the table, right? This one, the P value, you can't. If I ever ask you, you have to write this, right? And as for some ask me, right? Right. Actually, that's a good question, right? Using your set table, you know all this, right? So you usually don't need that thing, right? But unless I ask you what's an Excel input button, otherwise you don't need it, unless I ask explicitly what they are, right? Okay. Next question. Q2, yes, because the Excel T dot test is the right tail. Okay, so that's why you do the left. Of course, yeah. The set test, because I didn't talk about the set test in Excel, so you don't have to worry about the set dot test in Excel. So for the Excel, even the slide, but you don't cover in the class, you don't need to worry. Okay, you just need to worry about the thing to cover, right? So what topic should you focus on? Well, the easiest question for every other class is look at what the past paper, right? The past paper is the unbiased estimate of this this one, right? And it's also consistent efficient estimate. So I guess it's like if you do that, then it's fine, right? It's mean median used for exam. I think we have the mean and mean for the first question. Right? So if you are, yeah, that would be important, right? I guess. How many marks for Excel? I don't know. I have to calculate that, but there are some marks for Excel, so I can't really tell. But the form, come on, Excel form, you can bring your own notes or cheat sheet. So why ask this question? Because you can just put that there, right? ANOVA again, don't worry. We'll do the next question. We'll do ANOVA. Okay. So we will do that. Do we use probability? No, we do. What is question 1C? We did that last year. We did that. Why ask this question? We did that, right? This is the Excel for the mean. This is the probability. This is base rule. So we have that. Okay. Actually, everything is covered, right? I don't leave out any topic, right? So, but of course, I would say, right? For this class, the main thing is to estimation, hypothesis testing, and over, right? So you should expect this will be there, right? This because they're the main tools we're doing, right? And also the probability, right? Not sure if I answered the question, but if you still want to ask, you can still continue to ask. Odd ratio. Oh, odd ratio is nothing very deep. Indeed, it's just basically another way to say probability, right? Because probability is always, the thing is probability of X is always between 0 and 1, right? There are many axioms there, right? But if you don't like this, you can write this, right? So that means that for any probability from 0 to 1, right? This probability there, you can rewrite the odd ratio is 0 to infinity. And probably you ask, okay, well, why, if they're the same thing, why we have two different things? Oh, because odd ratio exists before probability. Odd ratio is very natural, right? To imagine, right? Total coin is 1 to 1, right? And if roll a die, if you get particular number 1, it's 1 to 5, right? One is favorable, one is not favorable, right? So odd ratio is like something more fundamental before you have probability, right? But of course now, to us, like probability might be more intuitive because we work with it for so many times. So the same thing, and we talk about this because of the fact that odd ratio is closely to odds in the betting or gambling industry. So we still talk about that, but otherwise the same thing. I hope I answered the question. Fine. Next question. Any tips for the exam? I already said, right? The past paper is unbiased estimate. That's my tips. What should you write? You can write as many as you want. That is, and I don't know what to say. Well, as long as you can, I think this year only have 3 questions, so you should have enough time to figure that out. It's not that urgent, so you should have time as long as you know where to find out the stuff. Do I have anything to say? Well, if I have anything to say is, you look at the examples, the green thing there, you try to see, you understand what the green thing is doing. Whenever it's the question, you figure out the green thing there, just copy and do, right? That's the simplest if I were good at math, right? You just know the green example, what it's doing. Okay, wrote the question, and the question figure out what's the green thing and just copy. That would be the easiest if I'm good at math. Right. Oh. So if you have any problem, please don't suicide. I mean, call the hotline. It's not the end of the world even if you fail the exam, because our class has many assessment components. Okay, so even if you fail the exam, doesn't mean you failed the class. Okay, and as I said, if you want to fail it, it's not that easy. Okay, unless you don't come to the class, don't do the assignment, don't do the project, you don't attend anything, then might likely you would fail, but it's not easy to fail. You can try, but I don't think it's that easy. Yeah. Thank you for choosing this class, or you are chosen to be in this class, but I hope you enjoyed. At least you don't suffer too much from this class. Can I explain assignment 4, question 4, why not sing 2 tab? Okay, let me do that. Assignment 4, question 4. Assignment 4. Question 4. What's the question? Sorry. Not using 2 tab. So this, the scientists want to see if A is more than B. Okay. And the origin, this is the question. That's why it's not 2 tabs. Okay. Of course, as I said, if you write everything clearly, even if you interpret the question wrongly, we still give you partial credit for that. So I'm not like the math class. If you make a first step wrong, we cut everything off. So don't worry about that. We still give you partial credit, so don't worry. At least I'll ask the TA to be generous to you guys, so don't worry too much. Can I explain question 5, assignment 4? So the GPA, this one, that is, you have the same student, it's a paired population, right? So basically, you just take a difference with the difference, and this is assumed to be normal. You can just use standard t-test because there's no population, right? Just impose t-test on the difference. And probably the question is, the claim students are larger in the 3rd than 4th. So that is saying that the difference is bigger than 0 as alternative. Okay. And let's see. No? Okay, that's good. Okay, today is Thursday, not Wednesday. So tomorrow's exam, not the day after tomorrow. So don't come on Saturday. No exam on Saturday. Yeah, exam is tomorrow. Yeah, that's a key point of the lecture. Yeah, the exam is coming. Oh, well, to be honest, this class is not about intelligence, right? This class is You know the question, which test you are doing. It's more like process, you know. It's more like accounting rule, I would say, this class. It's not too much math, right? Understand the concept, more math. But this class is more like accounting, right? You know this question, you apply this rule, and that's it. So it's very mechanical, I would say, right? Not much smart thing goes on. Some question here. What is PP with? I don't know. So far, it's okay, I guess. Oh, that's a good joke. I think you're suffering. Which is the case, I guess, is I guess everyone suffer from this class, including me. Because I'm an economist, not a statistician, but I hope everyone suffer. That's okay. Oh, okay. You can try to write the jokes to see if we give you extra credit for that, but you can try that. I would say the final grade overall, I think most people actually are happy at the end, right? As far as I know. But overall it should be fine. Oh, good luck to you to get 2021. Yes, you're linear free. Is it homework 5 useful? You don't have to worry about homework 5. The homework 5 is one is regression. I don't test it. NOV is hand calculation, so you don't have to worry about. Homework 5 you can. That's why I give you for free, right? Everyone for free credit for homework 5. Okay. Even though you don't do it, right? Oh, so you mean that hating me for teaching this term? Okay. So I'm sorry that you are forced to into this class, but I'm also forced to teach. So everyone is So to modify the function, okay, let me do that. After I do the ANOVA question, I will let me do that. Yeah, everyone is very tired at the end, unfortunately. But to be sure, our school has the shortest semester already. So Hong Kong, you have 14 weeks. We are only 13 weeks. So actually, we are happy here. Okay. So, but of course, everyone suffer anyway. So let me quickly finish this, and I will try to see if I have time to go over important details of each topic. I'm not sure if I do, but at the minimum, let me go to the last question. So this question is slightly crazy, little bit, but if you understand what's going on, that's not difficult. So this question I have here I have a 15 store, okay, and look at the sales performance for last year, each month for each store, analyze the variance, okay. So this question you can see I don't ask a lot of calculation. You just need to understand what's going on there, okay. And there's limited number of numbers in the question, right? So what you can do is not a lot, right? So you can see the question is almost, if you know what's going on, it's not difficult, right? You only have 15, you have 12, 80, and 180, right? So you must use all these 4 numbers, right? And that's it, right? So I think the question is pretty general. So you have to figure out which 4 number to use and everything, right? And the first question is, what's the missing value of this, right? Probably you remember the column add up, right? So A will be 100, right? Because SST is SSB plus SSW plus SSW, right? SSG plus SSW, right? So it's 100. Is that okay for this one? If you don't, let me go to the slide in case you would. Let me tell you which formula we're using for this one, right? If you this exact formula, SST is SSG plus SSW. It's the formula. Second is how do you know the DF? Right? And if you recall, look at the question. Between group, right? Is comparing mean of groups, right? So it's number of group minus 1. How many group you have? You have 12 store, right? C is 12, right? C is 12, right? This is C, right? Right? So this is, remember this is C minus 1, which is 14. Right? And within group, what's within group? If you look at this, this is N minus C, okay? So that is the tricky question I think I trick here, okay? What's N here? N is 15 times 12, because for each store, you have 12 data. So that's only tricky part in this question. Otherwise, everything is very straightforward, right? So N is 15 times 120 is, what's that? Okay, let me use calculator. Oh no, let's do that. $180. So it's 180 minus 15. So it's 165, right? Sorry for my calculator. you should be able to do that, right? Your calculator, okay? I don't have calculator. Is that okay? Is that okay for this one? Okay. After that, everything is very straightforward. There's nothing new there. Right? The next part is, what is the missing column? We know that MS is what? SS over this, right? So this is simply 100 over 14. I don't have calculator. You can tell me the answer, right? For this one, 80 over 165. Well, this is the answer. Okay, let me repeat. SS over DF is MS. Okay? Good. Yeah, you can see I'm very excited because no more class. I'm done. But okay. And for the F, if you remember how to do it, it's just this over this. Right? And we have done this so many times already, right? So it shouldn't be easy. Okay, where lastly, is asking you to decide 5%. Okay, there are two ways to do it. Either you calculate the p-value or the critical value compare. Okay, the p-value will be very simple. Suppose this guy is x, I don't know the number, right? The p-value, because f is looking at this, right? Looking at this area, right? So what we're going to do is this f, this number x, the 14, this guy, and 165, true, 1 minus. Why 1 minus? Because the disk gives you the left-hand side. Is that okay? Because F test is for ANOVA, always right tail. Always right tail, right? Because that is the thing that you need to know, not for the exam, but you need to know why this is true, right? Because you compare between group within group, right? Remember the idea is, if they don't have the same mean, the between group difference would be much larger within the difference, right? So that is the idea why it's 1/10. But of course, you can forget it. I give you the reason why, but most likely you don't remember. Just write down and that's it, right? So just this formula is always the same, right? You just this number, right, as the first one, the second number here, the third number here, true, right? As I said, it's very accounting thing, right? Nothing deep there, right? Except the question I'm trying to check you is, you know which the N is. The only tricky part here. Okay. And you can also do the critical value. Is that okay for this one? Okay. Critical value, we'll be looking at the how to do critical value here, right? 5% at the end. So just F inverse 0.95, 14, 165. That's it. And after doing that, you compare these two numbers, right? If the critical value is smaller, then you reject, right? And that's it. There's nothing special here. Is that clear? And because next question is regression, I'm not going to cover it. But in any case, then we're done with the sample question. So as I said, it's unbiased estimate. So hope that you able to understand what's going on. Okay. You don't have you shouldn't have problem. Okay. As I said, if you're able to understand the past paper and the assignments, then by exam itself, you should be able to get B+ or above. Right? If you get it correctly, then A-, right? For the exam, right? I mean, of course, you also have your projects as well, right? Usually the project probably will be determine whether you get A or A-, right? Because good student usually very good, right? Because my exam is too easy. So in some sense, right? Usually, of course, I mean, people make mistakes and here and there, right? But because the project, you can see, if you're me, then look at the project, there's a huge variance compared to the exam. Okay? But for exam, I mean, still I can see some distribution. But if you know you're a good student or you know how to do assignment, you're not copying from your friend, then most of them actually get B+ or above usually, right? Because the median is B+ or above, right? The median is B+ or above for our class. Okay. If you make a lot of mistake, then you got a B or B-. But rarely we got someone fail or C, right? I never. I mean, it's very difficult to attempt to fail, but yeah. But yeah. Is there any question? If no, then we just the remaining few 5 to 10 minutes. I want someone asked me to review what are the important things. I try to do that without taking the exam into account, right? Because otherwise I'm giving tips, right? So I just tell you what are the important things here. Okay. You calculate the F here, right? If this is bigger than the critical value, you reject. Or the critical value is smaller, right? The same thing. I mean, depends on how we say, right? So no question. Then I just go to these. Quickly go into what is the main content we cover, so that you may have some idea what to do. Okay, for topic 1, so basically you should be expected to know how to calculate different kind of summary statistics, right? You need to know how to if I give you data, you should be able to calculate mean variance, standard deviation, coefficient, right? By hand and by Excel, right? Both by hand and by Excel to calculate this, you should know, right? But of course, if you just bring your lecture slides and go to the exam theater, then you don't have problem, right? Because it's applying the formula. So if I ask this, actually it's pretty much very simple, right? There's nothing new to worry about that part. So for probability, I guess you at least know how to calculate Bayes' rule, right? That would be the single most important thing we learn, right? And you should be able to calculate some basic probability question as we do in assignment, right? And I said assignment is more difficult than our exam. So as long as you know the assignment, yeah, should be fine. Okay, right? You don't need to remember a particular theory, right? The formula is already there, right? So you don't need to worry about those. Okay. And if you want to take a revision, just look at the example I gave you, understand them, look at the assignment, understand them, you should have no problem. Okay. And random variable, I guess there's not much to say, right? Because you know I give you as like sample question, right? I tell you the Poisson, you should be able to do the calculation, right? I tell you exponential, you're able to do it. I tell you normal, we do it so many times already, right? I say binomial, then you can calculate probability, right? And as I said, assignment is already the maximum difficulties we have, right? So if you know the assignments, then you're fine, right? I hope I answered the question. And what else? Sampling distribution. This one is more conceptual, so unlikely that I will ask directly, right? Because everything here is used in the next chapter. So I would not say this is not important, but this build on this is give you what is doing there. So I would not say this is unimportant, but since used in the upcoming chapter, so if you can skip this topic if you in a hurry, right? Because there's no particular question I'm asking for this one, right? In general. So estimation, right? You just need to know, right? This teach you what is point estimate, right? What is unbiased estimate? You know that, right? The main thing is what is the confidence interval? When you know the sample population variance, or don't know, right? Actually, we do it in the question 2, past paper A and B part, right? That's the main thing, right? So that's not too much thing to know, right? Of course, for your interest, you know what's unbiased estimate, right? What are the consistent, but I'm not asking definition. So good for you to know, but for the exam, right, you don't have to worry about it. I'm not asking definition for those. Hypothesis testing, we've done so many already. So for the one sample test, okay, you should know how to operate. Okay, I'm not asking you what is hypothesis testing, what are the difference p-value of those, but you have to know how to use it, right? So you have to know, I give you the data or I give you the information, right? You should be able to execute Z test or T test, right? Depends on whether you know population variance, right? You know Z, you don't know the T, right? And then from the question, you should be able to infer whether it's one tail or two tail, right? And whether you like the critical value method or p-value method, it's fine. You do the Z test. When you do the T test, you have to use the critical value method. If you don't have Excel, right? If I ask Excel in formula, then you can do it, but otherwise, don't worry about p-value, right? Difference of proportion, right? The proportion thing is also the set, so that's you know how to do that, right? And for the two sample one, I'm not asking you to do any calculation except Excel, so you should be able to ready to do the Excel as we do in today's sample question, right? And for ANOVA, probably for ANOVA, for Excel, we mean that we just discussed already, right? The table. The table is the thing I want to know, because the table is the thing actually you do, right? In actual practice, you just run this through the computer and you look at the result, right? And of course, yeah, that's nothing I want. There's nothing more compared to that. Except probably one last thing I want to mention is the ANOVA is yeah, this one probably I didn't emphasize enough about this. Besides the Excel table, you need to know actually what we are saying here, right? The ANOVA, the hypothesis is saying that the group mean are the same and group mean are not the same, right? So just go back to this one because I probably little bit too loose here. So when you're here, right? You know the calculation, right? But probably you should also write this, right? X0 is means the same, right? X0 is means not the same. And then you get the two, right? So this is they do the F test, right? So I guess as a standard procedure, you should write what is the hypothesis testing say standard procedure, right? You write the hypothesis, you write your test statistics, you do the p-value or critical value, and then you decide whether you say it's different or not at 5%. So you write that down. But that's procedure. Okay. I think that's pretty much I want to say. Let's see if you have any further question. Let me check back you reply, you see any question. Because I'm pretty sure that there's some question there. Let me go back to the question. Okay. New question here. Is that p-value we can't less than the test provide, we reject? Okay. P-value is okay. P-value. Okay. When you do hypothesis testing, the first thing you do is you have to design what is the significance level, which is you decide before the data. Usually it's 5%. Okay. And ask yourself again, what's the p-value? Definition of p-value is the smallest significance value that you reject the null, right? So that means that the p-value you can imagine is like, what is the probability that actually this thing will happen, right? And that means that if the p-value is less than, say, 5%, then we reject, right? Because p-value is how extreme the data it can be, right? If it's so extreme, that is very unlikely, right? Because remember, overall question, let's look at the set test, right? That's what we do, right? Just go back to the question like this, right? Suppose I put down the sample mean, right? The way to do, right? We look at, say, x0 is mu equal to some number, mu not equal to that, right? What we do is we assume this is true. We're actually here, right? And we draw the bell here, okay? And what actually we will do reject is look at the data whether favorable to the alternative, right? And what we do is we will decide that if this is too big or too small, then we reject, right? And what do you mean by too big and too small? We have to define alpha first, 5%, say. Then 5%, if I reject on both sides, I don't know where to put the 5%, I put equally. So that's why I always said 0.025 on both sides. Okay. And how to calculate p-value in this two-sided event depend on the data you are, right? If data is here, the p-value will be this multiplied by 2, right? And you compare this with your alpha, right? This is a two sample one. Is that okay? And let me quickly the critical value is slightly, yes, the critical value like this. The critical value is, the idea is the following. Okay, look at this question again. Same question. I do the two side, but one side with the same idea, right? The critical value is, I'm looking at this 5% here, right? Look at what this value is. Okay. If your data is here, then you don't reject. right? If you're here, don't reject, right? If you're here, then you reject, right? So I hope it answered your question. Yeah, I don't think I have any more thing to say. Will two-way ANOVA? No. Two-way ANOVA is not in the syllabus. Okay. And yeah, I don't think I have anything more to say. Yeah, the YouTube will be uploaded. Okay. I guess I have to stop saying anything because our TA is waiting for me to stop talking. So I will see you tomorrow.